I'm Adrian Seet and you are watching Nightline, news making the headlines. Firemen with 20 fire engines battle massive blaze at Bukit Selambau factory. Also, flood worsens in Kelantan, thousands evacuated. Thanks for joining us. A massive fire has broken out at a factory in Bukit Selambau, Kuala Muda, Kedah on Sunday evening. Several clips being circulated by social media users show the raging blaze sending out high plumes of smoke. While the videos seem to have been taken from a relative distance, loud sounds akin to explosions or fireworks can be heard in the recordings. According to one social media user, the fire could be heard as far as about 3 kilometers from the location of the incident. Aman Jaya Fire and Rescue Station Chief Ashari Abdullah, in a statement, said the authorities received a report about the incident at around 8 p.m. It was understood that more than 20 fire engines have arrived at the scene, including those from the Sungai Petani Kulim High Tech and Kulim Yan areas, as well as volunteer teams surrounding the area. Work to extinguish the blaze are still underway. However, other details, such as the extent of the blaze and the number of victims involved, if any, remain unclear. The number of flood victims in Kelantan increased significantly to 4,350 as of 10 p.m. on Sunday, compared to 2,632 evacuees earlier in the day. According to the Social Welfare Department's Info Bencana portal, all victims are now sheltering in 12 relief centres in Pasir Mas and Tanah Merah. In Pasir Mas, 11 relief centres are currently operating, with a Sekolah Kebangsaan SK Gual Tinggi housing the most evacuees at 898 people. In Tanah Merah, 19 evacuees are taking shelter at Balai Raya Padang Kijang. Meanwhile, the Public Info Banjir portal reported that the water levels in Sungai Golok, Pasir Mas has exceeded the alert level at 10.19 metres. The Education Ministry is prepared to follow the set guidelines that includes relocating students or rescheduling the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examinations for those involved if the flood situation worsens. Minister Fadlina Siddiq said the ministry has made the necessary preparations to avoid the impact caused by flooding to enable the examinations to run smoothly on Tuesday.
Seperti mana yang tahun lepas, kita juga ada apabila ada peperiksaan yang terpaksa dihentikan kerana putus perjalanan dan sebagainya. Jadi kita akan buat peperiksaan ulangan. Jadi semua itu telah pun kita siapkan dalam garis panduan dan juga persiapan kita.
Fadlina had earlier said that the SPM exams would proceed even in flood-affected areas, as the ministry had made thorough preparations to ensure that the exams run as scheduled. However, candidates are advised to promptly inform their school or the state education department if they are unable to be at the designated exam centre or any nearby centre due to the disaster. The 2023 SPM Science Practical Tests will begin on December the 5th until December the 7th, with 91,908 candidates registered for the physics subject, 93,135 for chemistry, 72,841 registered to take biology, and 1,784 for the additional science subject. A lorry driver has been fined a maximum of 100,000 ringgit for causing pollution through the illegal disposal of scheduled waste in Sungai Kim Kim, Pasir Gudang, Johor in 2019. The Department of Environment, in a statement on Sunday, said that N. Maridas was found to have released oil sludge, a scheduled waste listed in the first schedule of the Environmental Quality Scheduled Waste Regulations 2005, into the river. It said PTEC Resources Sdn Berhad, which faced 8 charges under the Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulations 2014, was also fined 40,000 ringgit for each charge, making it a total of 320,000 ringgit. The cases against Maridas and PTEC Resources were tied together, and a total of 38 witnesses were called to testify. Johor Bahru Sessions Court Judge Datuk Cik Wan Zaidi Cik Wan Ibrahim handed down the sentence on November the 30th after the accused pleaded guilty to the charges. As a result of the dumping of toxic waste in Sungai Kim Kim, 947 victims received treatment at the Sultan Ismail Hospital, with 9 of them in the intensive care unit. In other news, the Johor State Government will submit a request for review on the sentence imposed against offenders in the 2019 Sungai Kim Kim pollution. Sungai Johor Joint Task Force Chairman Datuk Muhammad Jafni Mat Syukur said the task force will request that the Deputy Public Prosecutor seek a review as to whether the sentence was adequate, given the severity of the impact caused by the offender's actions on the environment, as well as the livelihood of the surrounding residents. He too emphasized the need for strict enforcement related to issues of safeguarding and preserving the environment, especially rivers, for the future generation. Jafni said this in reference to the recent court decision of imposing a maximum fine on a lorry driver involved in the Kim Kim River pollution incident that affected the health and well-being of over 2,000 people, including young children. Some 111 schools in the Pasir Gudang vicinity were also forced to close due to the pollution at the Kim Kim River in 2019.
Mencerakin nilai utama,
keterbukaan dalam melengkapi rakyat,
memantap modal insan seiring deras pembangunan,
menyerlah potensi negara di kancah dunia.
Saksikan wawancara khas setahun bersama Kerajaan Madani di Wikrama Perdana Menteri.
Selasa 9 malam di TV3 atau stream langsung HD di Tonton.
Malacca, renowned for its diverse tourist attractions and their rich historical heritage, stands out as an ideal choice to host the World Tourism Day, WTD, in 2025, attracting visitors and cementing its status as a preferred destination. Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi expressed the federal government's confidence in Malacca, citing the state's robust infrastructure, warm hospitality, unwavering commitment, and the efficient collaboration of civil servants, all contributing to the seamless execution of events. His speech was delivered by Malacca Chief Minister Dato Sri Abdul Rauf Yusof at the closing ceremony of the Dibendang Carnival at the Benteng Negara Camp at Parit Penghulu, Sungai Rambai on Sunday.
Ini adalah satu contoh yang memperlihatkan komitmen kerajaan negeri dengan sokongan kerajaan persekutuan untuk memperkasakan sektor pelancongan di negeri ini.
This is Malaysia's inaugural selection as the venue for WTD by the World Tourism Organization UNWTO, following which the federal government chose Malacca to host the prestigious event. The annual event will see 155 heads of states and representatives camping out in Malacca to make it a success. Commenting on the Dibendang Carnival, Ahmad Zahid, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, said it was organised to celebrate the paddy harvest season in Malacca that began in October, making it another unique event to attract tourists. The national digital identity being developed in Malaysia is different than those being used in other countries. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil said he had requested that Cybersecurity Malaysia and the Department of Personal Data Protection work closely together with MIMOS Berhad so that any issues related to data and cybersecurity could be constantly monitored and addressed.
Digital ID yang dilaksana di Malaysia jauh berbeza daripada negara lain. Kita bukan buat macam di negara Kanada ataupun seperti negara India. Kita tidak ada rakam cap jari, iris dan sebagainya.
He said this when met by reporters at the Run Hack Scam Alert 2023 program at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium on Sunday. Meanwhile, Fahmi said the Information Department will assist MIMOS in providing explanations and clarifications regarding the use of the National Digital ID, especially those involving the security of personal data and how to register the ID. He said that the program had not been widely carried out yet, with the National Digital ID registration process to only start full swing in March of next year. The National Digital ID is a form of digital identification and self-verification of individuals that will be used by the public and private sectors to verify the user's identity when making transactions online. Without replacing the MyCard system, the digital ID is a trusted and secure platform, as well as facilitating online identity verification to avoid identity fraud in online transactions. The Johor state government has proposed that the federal government consider implementing a quick response or QR code system similar to Singapore at the Customs, Immigration and Quarantine CIQ complex in the state. Johor Menteri Besar Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi said this was one of 3 proposals to help make the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone a success as part of collaborative efforts between the Malaysian and Singapore governments. In addition, he hoped that to ensure the smooth movement of workers and merchandise, initiatives such as multiple entry visas, special passes and sufficient staff from the Immigration Department and the Customs Department were necessary. On Hafiz also suggested that the federal government complete key infrastructure projects such as a special route from the second link to Forest City, light rail transit LRT, high-speed rail, HSR, ferry services and landing point facilities for air taxis. In addition, he said the state government expects the federal government to look at fiscal incentives, including tax incentives such as corporate and individual taxes, excise duties and investment tax allowances. Malaysia and Singapore are expected to sign a memorandum of understanding regarding the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone in Johor Bahru on January the 11th, 2024. The UMNO Supreme Council will hold further discussions to review Barisan Nasional's defeat in Kemaman by-election on Saturday. UMNO Vice President Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said it was still too early to determine the reason behind the defeat, as the party had yet to obtain further details. As such, he said the results of the Kemaman parliamentary seat by-election will need to be looked at thoroughly. In the polls on Saturday, PAS candidate Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar won the Kemaman seat with 64,998 votes, a majority of 37,220, while Barisan Nasional's retired General Tan Sri Raja Muhammad Afandi Raja Muhammad Noor backed 27,778 votes. A 13-year-old boy was charged at the Sungai Petani Magistrates Court with attempted robbery of an e-hailing driver last Monday. He pleaded not guilty to the charge before Magistrate Khairatul Animah Jalani. The teenager was charged with attempting to rob 65-year-old Lee Ang Hai at a roadside at Taman Keladi at about 6 p.m. on November the 27th. The charge, framed under Section 393 of the Penal Code, provides imprisonment for up to 7 years and is liable to a fine if found guilty. Khairatul later granted 2,000 ringgit bail with one surety. She also fixed January the 17th as the next mentioned date. In the botched robbery attempt that had gone viral on social media, the young man who boarded the e-hailing service was seen trying to point a knife at the left chest of the 65-year-old driver. However, the driver grabbed the knife and bit the teenager's hand to defend himself before the suspect fled. Indonesia's Merapi volcano erupts. News from the foreign front when we return.
Mencabar dan kecederaan mangsa-mangsa dan semua sama. Allah.
Saya terlibat dengan dadah seawal umur 12 tahun and then umur 14 tahun tu saya dah terlibat dengan jenayah, ditangkap dan dihantar ke sekolah yang negeri.
Kami anggap mereka sebagai sehelai kain putih. Kita perlu bantu mereka, kita perlu pulihkan mereka.
Kalau tanya saya, ada ke tempat yang selamat? Jawapan saya, tiada.
Kenapa ya Allah, kenapa kita? Ini ujian kami.
Tidak mempedulikan nyawa adalah sifat keji daripada rejim ini.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
On to the foreign segment. The Zionist regime continued its offensive after it bombed wide areas of the Gaza Strip on a third day of renewed fighting, killing and wounding dozens of Palestinians. It was reported that on Sunday morning alone, more than 30 Palestinians were killed in the southern cities of Khan Yunis and Rafah in Israel, airstrikes and bombings. The airstrikes destroyed several houses in the Al-Qarara town near Khan Yunis overnight, while intensive bombing was also reported in the east of Zaytun, in Gaza City, and Tel Al-Za'ata in the northern Gaza Strip. The Zionist regime attack have also targeted the residential blocks and the neighborhoods in the Jalalbaya refugee camp, leaving tens of people killed and more buried under the rubble. To date, at least 15,500 Palestinians have been killed since the beginning of the offensive. Indonesia's Mount Merapi in the West Sumatra province erupted on Sunday, spewing white and grey ash plumes for more than 3,000 meters into the air, and hot ash clouds blew several miles to the north. Now, Ahmad Rifandi, an official at the Merapi monitoring post, said there were no casualties, adding that villagers were advised to stay 3 kilometers from the crater's mouth and be aware of the danger of potential lava. Several villages were blanketed with falling ash, and authorities urged residents to wear face masks and eyeglasses to protect themselves from volcanic ash. The nearly 2,900-meter mountain has been active since January when it erupted, generating dense ash and steam plumes that rose as high as 400 meters. At least 4 people have been killed and around 50 others were injured in an explosion at a Catholic mass in the southern Philippines on Sunday morning. It was reported that the incident occurred at the gymnasium of the Mindanao State University, Marawi, when students and teachers gathered for a Catholic mass. According to authorities, the 50 others who were wounded were taken to 2 hospitals for treatment. Police, in the meantime, were investigating the explosion, including the possibility that it was carried out by militant groups. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. had also condemned the attack and instructed the police and armed forces to ensure the safety of the public. Mindanao has for decades been racked with violence amid a rebellion by armed separatist groups. Still in the Philippines, residents were allowed to return to their homes on Sunday after a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck the country's south, killing at least 1 person. It was reported that the pregnant woman was killed and 4 others were injured after the powerful earthquake hit the second largest island of Mindanao. The U.S. Geological Survey measured the first tremor late on Saturday at 7.6 magnitude, followed by 4 major aftershocks exceeding 6.0. The quakes had also triggered tsunami warnings that were later lifted. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, meanwhile, recorded at least 600 aftershocks and urged caution as people resumed normal activities. The quakes came nearly 2 weeks after a 6.7 magnitude quake hit the island, killing at least 9 people. JDT remains.
Pandai Pandai bermain pelbagai alat muzik, kenali bakat luar biasa mereka.
Tekanan darah tinggi, pentingnya memahami data dan simptom awal penyakit.
Tua namun masih berbisa. Bagaimana untuk mengekalkan kecerdasan minda dan juga kecergasan fizikal di usia emas?
NPC pengemis atas talian demi rezeki atau maruah jadi gadaian.
Dan soal wang, kemana perginya nilai shilling 1 sen? Adakah masih relevan?
Semua ini dan banyak lagi di MSI Isnin hingga Jumaat di TV3.
Dan stream secara HD di aplikasi Tonton.
Bau tu memang bau busuk. Daripada tingkat bawah, kita buka pintu kereta, kita dah boleh bau dah. Bau ni.
Mangsa dipercayai dibunuh di tempat lain sebelum dikerat 15 bahagian.
Dia orang pun macam tak percaya kejadian jenayah berlaku di kawasan kejiranan Berewang. Hanya orang yang tidak berhati perut akan memotong badan seseorang sehingga 15 bahagian.
Welcome back. On to sports. Football, the 2023 Super League. Johor Darul Takzim JDT FC maintained their unbeaten record in the season after recording a 2-0 win against Sri Pahang FC. Playing at the Darul Makmur Stadium, the Southern Tigers opened the scoring 6 minutes into the game through Herberte Fernandez's effort. Bergson da Silva then doubled their advantage 3 minutes before the half-time whistle to seal the win for JDT. JDT remains at the top of the table with 73 points, while Sri Pahang are in 5th place with 44 points. Other results on Sunday, Perak lost to Sabah and Penang drew with Terengganu. Still on football, the German Bundesliga. Stuttgart kept pace with the front-runners following a regulation 2-0 victory over Werder Bremen. Take a look. The hosts broke the deadlock when Dennis Undav tapped in from close range in the 17th minute after Bremen goalkeeper Michael Zetterer could only parry a Waldemar Anton effort. Serhu Guisari doubled the lead 15 minutes after the hour mark and made 2 of the points after earning a penalty following a poor defending by Bremen defender Niklas Stark. With the victory, Stuttgart are now 4 points behind leaders Bayer Leverkusen and 2 behind Bayern Munich, while Bremen are in 16th place and are being dragged towards the drop zone. When we return, at least 2 killed as a lorry crashes into several vehicles. Stay tuned.
6 keluarga cemas. 2 varian COVID-19 subsusul Galo dan susulan rusuhan yang berlaku di pinggir kota Paris.
Aliran trafik di beberapa lebuh utama.
Lembaga Urus Air Selangor.
Lelaki berusia 3 tahun.
Di sini semuanya bermula. Detik-detik yang boleh mengubah persepsi dunia dengan wajah dan suara yang baru. Memberi impak yang besar, tidak kira di depan atau di belakang kamera. Medium maklumat utama rakyat Malaysia. Paparan berita dalam dan luar negara yang pantas. Cekap bertindak bila-bila masa di mana jua berada. Padat, telus dan berwibawa. Berita menyeluruh dan pastinya yang terkini. Wajah dan suara baru di Buletin Utama. Pilihan nombor 1 rakyat Malaysia.
Welcome back. In Kedah, 2 people were killed and 3 others injured when a lorry crashed into 3 other vehicles on Jalan Kolon in Pokok Sena on Sunday morning. A Fire Rescue Department spokesperson said authorities received a call regarding the incident at 9:59 a.m. The lorry is believed to have skidded before crashing into a sedan, a compact car and a pickup truck. 3 teams from the Alostar, Pokok Sena and Kuala Nerang stations were deployed to remove victims trapped in their vehicles. The deceased were identified as 65-year-old Romadiah Ismail and her 28-year-old daughter Natfiza Abu Saman, who was also 5 months pregnant. The 2 bodies were handed over to the police, while the injured were sent to the Sultanah Bahia Hospital. In a strategic move aiming to reshape the landscape of youth participation and leadership, Malaysia has recently announced a significant amendment to its youth age limit. With the new regulation, the country redefines its perception of youth, bringing the age threshold down from 40 to 30, effective January 1st, 2026. Our reporter, Alif Yunus, has the story.
The amendment, resulting from discussions between the Youth and Sports Ministry and the Malaysian Youth Council, MBM, has elicited mixed reactions.
Quite excited because the current age limit doesn't make sense. Like 40, I don't think 40 people in their 30s, they consider themselves as youthful. I mean they can, but that's a personal opinion. Yeah, and I feel like people in youth organizations should be people in that age category, i.e. below 30. Yeah.
Tapi itulah orang kata umur tu tidak mematahkan seseorang kan. Jadi saya rasa dia ikut individu masing-masing. Kalau mungkin 30 kan kadang biasanya macam saya lah. Saya grad pun umur dah 20 something kan, baru berapa tahun dalam bidang pekerjaan, tapi saya rasa macam benda tu tak cukup untuk saya. Jadi saya rasa mungkin 30 tu mungkin masih belia lagi saya rasa. Jadi mungkin kena 35 ke macam itulah.
Saya rasa sangat bersetuju lah sebab kebanyakan umur 30 ni, bawah 30 banyak yang masih muda, fresh. So macam 40 tu mungkin ada certain yang diorang ada masalah kesihatan ke, mungkin ada yang mencapai tahap-tahap kesihatan yang bagi kita tidak memuaskan ke, lebih kurang macam itulah.
As for MBM, its Assistant Secretary General Muhammad Abu Kadir supports the policy change, emphasising the need for deep studies and committees for major policy shift.
So it is time for us to already done. We should have been doing this a long time ago, but there are a lot of systemic issues, institution issues, and when one policy is changed, it impacts the whole country. It impacts the whole system, institution and structure. So it cannot be done hastily. It cannot be done immediately. It would need a transition period.
As Malaysia prepares for the change to the newly redefined age limit for youth, there are some quarters that also highlight the importance of including younger voices in the decision-making process. This is not just to ensure inclusivity, but also to create a well-rounded and effective youth leadership framework.
Hence why facilitating discussions with the youth organisation, with the young people from various segments of the society is really important to get their feedback. And for the upcoming young leaders that will be leading youth organisation and NGO, we think it's really important to start training right now to take leadership roles in a couple of years' time.
The multifaceted reactions and perspectives signify the complexity inherent in redefining youth, urging continued dialogue and consideration of the implications this change might hold for the future of youth engagement and leadership in Malaysia. Alif Yunus reporting for Nightline, TV3.
As we conclude this edition of Nightline, let's marvel at the mesmerizing spectacle of the Aurora Borealis. or the Northern Lights, gracing many parts of northern China. This celestial phenomenon illuminated the skies over the country's capital, Beijing, as well as Inner Mongolia and the northernmost city of Moha. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for watching, and be well, Malaysia.